Swagatam. Today is Adya Brahaspati Vasarah Dinankaha Dvitiyaha Dvitiyasya Masasya Dvitiyaha Dinankaha Raghuvamshakavyam Prasamataha Mangalacharanam Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bhiyata Nishacharchamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhotame Bho Rama Mamuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattalyam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana Onnama Iti Atha Shri Mahashwar Sutrani A I Urn Rilruk E Ong I Aucha Hayavaratcha Lanya Ngamanga Nanam Jabang Gadadash Jabagadash Kapha Chata Chata Sav Kapai Sha Sar Hal Iti Mahashwar Sutrani. Last time I forgot to make some corrections which I had from even the previous class. Let me pull that up. So last time we were, let me see, I had some corrections from the prior class. Let's see where I am. Okay, so we were. So these corrections from the prior class I've got to make. I think in the class of, let me see now, Jan 19th, I think I had made some comments. I think we are talking about the Sutram at that time. The Jan 19th class, I forgot to make the corrections from that class. I think we were talking of the Sutram at that time. About I forgot which verse it was, but it was the sutram we are talking about is this one. Gati buddhi pratyavasanartha shabda karma karma kana mani karta sa now. Talking about sutram, and I think I hastily mentioned an example is, gavaha jalam pibanti, Shri Krishnaha gaha jalam payayati. So that is incorrect. That's incorrect because of the fact that this, I should have said the form payayate and not payayati. The example given at that time was that because this panam, drinking, is in the sense of pratyavasana. So the anikarta means the in this case kartreha, in the aniyavastha, when the hetu is not there. Hetu is Shri Krishna over here, and the cows are the anikartreha. So without the hetu, the sentence was that Gavaha, Gavo Jalam Pibanti, the cows drink water. And then when the hetu came, the sentence became Shri Krishnaha Gaha Jalam Payayate. I should have said, I said Payayati by mistake, should have been Payayate. Now, of course, the point of the example was not that. The point of the example was that Gaha took Dvitiya Vibhakti. I mean, we got the Karma Sanya. Got the Karma Sanya. That was the example that we were trying to give at that time, because in this sutram, the dhatus which are in these meanings, gati, buddhi, pratyavasana means eating or drinking, shabda karma means like adhyanam, Vedic adhyapanam, and then akarmakanam, anikarta sarnav. So anyway, so made the correction from that. I forgot to make this correction in the last class. So from the class on Jan 19th, I have said payayati by mistake. Should have been payayate. There is a Vishesh Sutram because Panini says that by 1389. So you have to be careful when you use a Nich Pratyaya, whether you want to Parasya Padam or Atmane Padam. Now, of course, by this time we all know that the Pada Vyavastha, Atmane Pada, Parasya Pada Vyavastha is done in 1.3, starting with our well-known Sutram 1312, which is Anudatta Jnata Atmane Padam. Apada samapte up to the end of the pada. Panini talks about Parasya Padam, Atmane Padam, Parasya Padam, and there the sutram which we have studied already is Nichascha. Nichascha means, as a general rule, the Janta Dhatu will be Ubhayapadi. But then we also looked at specific rules. We have looked at this one, which is the Nigarana Charanarthebhyaha. Now that sutram says that you can only use Parasya Padam, Nigarana Chalanarthebhyaha. So if a dhatu in the sense of consuming, eating, drinking, swallowing, or moving, then only parasya padam can be used in the hetumati, when you have the ni pratyaya over there. But this is a special sutram that says that na padam yang yam yang yasa pari muha ruchi nriti vada vasaha. So this says that parasmay padam should not be used. So this is, and that specifically mentions the dhatu pa in there. So this is where I made a mistake. See, I knew, I kind of knew in the back of my mind there's some complication, but I think some people have just joined. So what I'm talking about is a correction from 2 weeks back, which I forgot to make last week. And we were talking about the Sutram 1452 at that time. We are talking about what happens to the anikarta in the niyavasthayam when we get the hetu. So I gave the example, which was Gavo Jalam Pibanti, then Shri Krishno Gaha Jalam Payayati. I said by mistake, should have been Payayate, should have been Payayate, because the fact that specifically Panini says that when you use in this connection with Dhatu Pa, we should use only Atmanepadam, in spite of the fact that by the Sutram Nigarana Charanarthebhya, if a dhatu in the sense of eating, drinking, Parasyapadam should be used, but this specific Sutram says do not use Parasyapadam with this dhatu, spa, etc. So we'll look at 1389 very quickly. So make the correction, should have been Payayate, not Payayati. So 1389. So yeah, see, composing in Sanskritam is difficult because you can make pade pade dosho bhavati. We can have a lot of defects. Reading is easy. I think the key to speaking Sanskritam is that you have to read a lot, just like in English and the language. So you know intuitively, what, of course you can still make a couple of mistakes, but at least you should know that, this form I have not heard before. I mean, the safest thing to do is use the same form the other which you already know are correct forms. So to do that, you have to read a lot. You have to read a lot to be able to use only those forms which you have heard and you know they're correct. But then you can slowly expand and use your own. So anyway, this sutram says that Purvena yogadvayena kartrivipraya kriya phala vivakshayam apanipadam apavadha parasyapadam vihitam tasya pratishadam umuchyate yat kartrivipraya vishayam atmanipadam tadavasthitam eva na pratishadyate. So he says that so he says that here you can make the example over here. Tatra patrimada Pariveshanaya ruchi so dhyapayate. So this is the sutram which says that parasmay padam vihitam, which was prescribed by the last two sutras, tasya pratishedo ayam uchyate. It's the pratisheda for parasmay padam. So and there he said tatra pibatihi nigaranartha. So by which you just said that 3487 should have given Parasyapadam, which Sutram specifically says don't give Parasyapadam over here. Should be Payayate and not Payati. That's one correction. The other correction I want to make is that this we saw this in that January 19 class. We saw the form. Let's see, the form which we derived in the class was Magnaha. Magna means immersed. And then at that time what happened was, just very quickly, we had the dhatu tu masjo, and when you add the pratyakta, nishtha pratyakta, by the sutram nishtha, and again it's kartriyarthe by 3472, and we did anubandha lopaha. Then in nisheda we did, because of ekach upadeshana rattat, so by 7 to 10, and then we add the pratyanum. But idito by this, by 7160, which is that Mashchalor, Nashimashchor, I think, Nashimashchor. So it is, Mashchinashor Jali. Jaladi Pratya follows this dhatu, this two Mashjo and dhatu Nash, also they take the Numagamaha. Mashchinashor Jali. Anuvritti of Num comes from idito Num dhatoho. We saw the Vartikam at that time. See, normally in Num Agamaha, we should use what? Midachon Tyatparaha. Should go after the last Acha. But this Vartikam Sutram, which we saw, I mean, the form there was no problem there. It says, Maschir Antyat Purvam Num Icchanti Anushanga Sanyogadi Lopartham. At that time, I did not realize Anushanga is a technical term in Vyakaranam. I thought Anushanga was like accompanying. That was what I thought, but that's not correct. Anushanga is a technical term in Vyakaranam. If okay, we'll come to it in a second. If you follow the steps going ahead, what happened was we used this sutram afterwards, which is Alijatam Halopodaya Kiniti, to do Nakara Lopaha. So this sutram requires the Nakara be the Upada of the Angam. Angam is mas na ja. This Nakara is required to be the Upada of the Angam to apply 6.4.24. Now, if you had just used 1147, the Nakara would have come before the Sakara. It would not be Upadha anymore. So that's why the Vartikam says that Masjir Antyat Purvam Numam Ichanti. Anushanga Sanyogadi Loparthams. Anushanga, by the way, is a technical term. Anushanga means that it is this Upadha Nakara. It gets the word, that's the term Anushanga. Anushanga. So what Anushanga means is that Anushanga is a technical term for the penultimate nasal of a root or a noun base. So Upadha Nakara. Now should Nakara, any Anunasika. That will be we'll get the designation of Anushanga. So that that was not clear in my mind at that time. So this Vartikam basically says that the Anushanga Sanyogadi Lopaha, it is specifically talking about this Lopaha of the Upadha Nakara in this case, which is Sanyogadi by 6.4.24. It has to be Anushanga, it has to be penultimate. So anyway, so this is from Jan 19 corrections, 2 corrections. Firstly, should have said Paya Yate and not Paya Yati. There's one correction. Secondly, Anushanga is a technical term meaning the penultimate nasal. Penultimate nasal is Anushanga in Vyakaranam. I did not know that. Okay. Now the 2 more from last class, couple of corrections. What I have, nothing major, I think. Last class. Okay, Anushanga we talked about. Okay. I think last class we were fine. So these are from the prior class, from Jan 19th class. Okay. Now, last class we left with this sutra, this shloka has 75th Pancha Saptati Tamashlokaha. And that shloka was like this. It says that Kamam Jivati Me Nath Iti Sa Vijahau Shucham Prang Matva Satyam Asyantam Jivita Smiti Lajjita. Yes, Vasu, you said something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Masjo.
Yeah, too much Joe.
Isn't that very similar to Bhagna we get on
Yes,
Bhagna?
same. That also has the Okara as an it by Oditascha.
Okara is an it, that's why.
Yeah, Oditascha, that the Nishtha Takarasya Nakara Desha, Oditascha. That was common. No, the form was derived correctly. We had no problem deriving the form. Only thing that I didn't clarify what Anushanga is, so that was the only. That Oditascha is 8 to 45.
Another thing is the Anushanga in the Mimamsa Shastra is also a technical term where for Vakya Puranam you use the previous verse to complete in the.
So Anushanga, I guess, has something which is the previous. Looks like there is something to do the previous. So normally Sanja is to attach. So Sanga is attachment. Anusanga, I guess, attachment after kind of. So it is what it says. So maybe it's like it has a meaning of penultimate. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. See, Anushango Vakya Samapti Sarveshu Turya Gitvathe Purva Mimamsa Takshani 2148 is a reference. Idam Sutram Anushanga Sadbhavam Sadhayati.
Okay, so Anushanga. No, Anushanga, generally I know the meaning Anushanga. Anushanga means like you attach something, you kind of join something from, that is the Anushanga. But I did not just, in here means the penultimate nasal only Anushanga in Vyakaranam. That I did not know. I did not know that special meaning. Generally Anushanga I can understand, you kind of attach after something, so you join something, so.
I bumped into this because in the Veda mantras they say that if you take a standalone mantra, you won't make the...
Correct. I understand. So you have to fill in from the prior, from the Sandarbha. Correct. So, okay, good. So I guess Anushanga is used special term, not just in Vyakaranam. Okay, so we had this shloka last time and we looked at the meaning also, but we want to do some little bit of Vyakaranam. So, Kamam Jivati Me Natha Iti. Now the iti ends the quotation we talked in the last class, and the inside the quotation is Me Natha, Jivati Me Natha. Jivati Me Natha is in the quotation, not Kamam. So Jivati Me Natha iti. Of course, you can take also Kamam inside the quotation. I think in the translation, I think we saw the translation. I think he has taken the Kamam inside the quotation. But if you look at the Malinatha Tika, it says Kamam Vijahau. So he's taking Kamam with Vijahau, not with Jivati. See, Kamam means, as we saw last week, it is an adverb, is an avyayam. Means act will, so be it. Okay, that may be so what. Let it be, no problem. So Kamam means, also means yatecham, another meaning of Kamam. But here is maybe that's so, but. So this Kamam parantu, Kamam tathapi. So these are all these idiomatic expressions. Means Kamam means, okay, that's so, but still this is something, So that is the thing, this Kamam. I think we saw in Apte, this he has given these idiomatic combinations with Kamam. Kamam means, okay, that may be so, but so what? Still something else is there. So that is the idiomatic Kamam, which is an avyayam. Kamam is an avyayam. Let's see what Apte gives. And we saw the meaning over here which Apte gives is that granted or admitted that something is true, no doubt, generally followed by tu or tathapi, yet still. So that may be so, but still something else is there to be accounted for. That's the sentence here. And here Malinatha is taking that Kamam Vijahau. So according to commentary, inside the iti is only Jivati Me Natha. Sa Sita Shucham Vijahau. The Shucham is a Chakaranta Pradipadikam Shucha. So just like Shoka, which is a Pullinga Pradipadikam, Shuch is a Chakaranta Silinga Pradipadikam. So it means, so Shucham is Shokam, will be similar to that. So Sita, Shucham Vijahau. And I put in the notes over here, I think I already put over here that this form Jahau, we have derived it fully in this Jan 12th, 2012. These posts are really the backbone of all these classes. So if you want to look at the details of that, you can go to the example. You have the calendar here, I think, and on Jan 12th post, let me see if I can pull that up for you. Jan 12th. I wonder why it's not working today. See, normally the calendar should be giving me the link. Let me see if I can do. February. Okay, because I haven't made. Okay, here, Jan. I'm in the wrong month. I'm sorry. Let's see, Jan. Okay, here it is. So Jan 12th is the post on Jahau. So you have already seen all the steps. I mean, dhatu is oha, tyage, and pratyaparokshe lit, anubandha lopaha, then tiptasji, then null adesha, pranasipadanam null latusus. Then abhyasa karyam liti dhatu anabhyasasya. And of course, with dirvachanechi, we do the abhyasa before doing vidhirechi. And then kuhoshchuhu rasvaha vidhirechi abhyasa charcha. And of course, before that, ata aunalaha. So anyway, all the steps are given here. We already did this. So the form Vijahau, Upvi is Upasarga, of course. So Vijahau means she gave up. She gave up her grief. Okay, admitted that Sita gave up her grief. Iti means iti matva. Iti also means matva, I can supply that. Thinking that, or realizing that. Me natha, mama natha, Shri Rama Jivati, that Shri Rama is alive. So she realizing that Rama is alive, she gave up her grief. That may be so, but you supply but, tathapi, or parantu, you supply. That's the next sentence. Prak, also an avyam. Prak means purvam, before. Asya antam satyam matva. Asyami Shriramasya, Mama Nathasya Shriramasya, Antam Maranam, Satyam Matva. Realize, thinking that he really had died. Jivita Asmi, I still lived. Jivita Asmi, I still lived. Iti Lajjita Babhuva. So iti. So this is the no, there is a second iti over here. And that is that Prak Matva Satyam Asya Antam Jivita Asmi Iti Lajjita. So she realized that before she did not know that the Rama's head was just a trick. She thought it was real. And thinking that Sri Rama is dead, still how did I live? That is how she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed. So okay, so the sentence is that Kamam means, okay, admitted that she gave up her grief on realizing that Sri Rama is living, Menato Jivati. But before, when she thought that he really had died, she lived. So that is an embarrassment for her. Because how can she live when Sri Rama is no longer alive? So that is the sentence. So you look at the commentary, Sa Sita, always habit is that any pronoun, look at the noun behind it. So Sa Sita. Then Me Natha, straightforward, Me Mama Natha Jivati iti Hetoho. Hetoho means due to this, on account of this, means that iti has the extra thing of Hetoho. So on account of this, Shucham means Shokam, we just talked about that. This is the Chakaranta Pradipadikam, stealing of Pradipadikam. Kamam Vijahau, Kamam Avyayam, means may it be so. Kintu, this is what you supply. This Kamam brings with it the Kintu. The Kamam brings with it the Kintu. That's an idiomatic combination which you have to supply the Kintu based on the Kamam. Prak means Purvam. Asya, Nathasya, means Asya again, look at beautifully supplies Nathasya. Asya is Idam Pratipadikam, Shashti Ekvachanam, Pullinge. Asya Nathasya. Antam equals Nasham. Satyam Yathartham. Means, in fact, we're going to see this in our next Wednesday class, maybe the one after that. You see Yathartham. Artham Anatikramya Yathartham. Yatha Shakti, Yatha Mati, Yatha Vidhi. This Yathartham is an Amve Bhava Samasaha. An Amve Bhava Samasaha. We'll look at it in detail in next week or maybe week after that. The Sutram, if you want to do some homework, which I gave for homework yesterday, the Sutram 216. You can look at it, Sutram. So Yathartham, the Vigraha Vakyam would be Artham Anatikramya. Means as it is. As it is. In accordance with not transcend, not going beyond the facts. As per the facts. So Yathartham. Artham Anatikramya. So Satyam means it is factual, correct. Matva, Jivita, means Jivitavati Asmi, means I lived. Jivitavati Asmi. Iti Hetoho, again Hetoho. On account of that, Lajjita Lajjavati. There is one problem in this shloka which I don't have a good answer for. In fact, that's why last time actually there was a mistake on the board which I specifically asked you to ignore after the class. And the mistake was from Lajjita. This Mulinatha is saying Kartariktaha. See, I don't understand that why he's saying that. Because just like what Vasu was just saying is that if you look at the Dhatu Pataha, we have this Lashcha Dhatu has also an Okara as an It. Has Okara as an It. Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can find this one. Okay. Dhatu Pataha, 1 second. Has so if you look at the Nishtha, if you look at Pratyakta, if you add, we will get the form Lagna. Lagna we will get. We will not get the form. I don't know why this is not coming up. Okay, give me 1 second. Try it here. Let's see that. Okay, just because if you add the Pratyakta to the here it is. In fact, I already have it. I'm sorry. I already have it. Okay. So let's look at Dhatu Lascha. If you become Lagna. So Lajjita will not be the form you get by adding the Pratyakta. And Malinatha is saying kartariktaha. I don't know, I don't understand why he's saying that, because if you look at dhatu lashcha, lashcha will give O lashji vridayam, O lashji. And because of the ikara as an it by shvidito nishtayam, it will be in nishedha. In nishedha, first of all. There will be, because shvidito nishtayam. Sutram is 7 to 14. So dhatu which is an idit, the idit dhatu will get in nishedha. In nishedha. So I don't know how the form lajjita will not come from this dhatu, because first of all in nishedha will come by this sutram 7 to 14, shvidito nishtayam. Secondly is that because the dhatu is odit, just like we got magna and bhagna, you will get the form lagna because of sutram oditascha. Oditascha, I think it's 8 to 45 probably. 45, oditascha. So we cannot get this form from lashcha. Now there's a dhatu called laj, but even that I think is, that will not become lajjita anyway. It will not become lajjita. Now the only other possibility I can think of is make it in the nijanta prayagaha. He was made to be embarrassed. Okay, then maybe you can, but then it will not be kartariktaha, I think. She's made to be, right? So kartaritaha she's become. So I don't know what this is. This is a issue. This kartariktaha doesn't seem to make sense to me. And I looked at all the dictionaries. The way that this is derived is this way. The way this is derived is like this. It is dhatu olashji vridayam. First of all, you form the dhatu lajja. Sorry, the pradipadikam. The stilinga pradipadikam lajja. You form lajja from this dhatu olashchi vridayam. So lashcha plus sutram is guroshcha halaha. Guroshcha halaha. If you have a halanta dhatu, which has a guru swara in there, because sanyoge guru, but sanyoge guru is akara as a guru sanya. So where guroshcha halaha pratyaya comes. And then, of course, when we do this one, we get the stoshchunashchutvam. The sakara becomes a talavya shakara deshaha. And then by jalam jashi, we get the jakara deshaha. Then we add the pratyaya top on top because it's triyam. I mean, chutu halantyam akasam and dirgha, we get lajja. And then once we get lajja, we use the sutram which we were looking at yesterday briefly. Tadasya sanjatam tarakadibhya itachya. Tadasya sanjatam tarakadibhya itachya. Yesterday's class we were looking at this dvaya sajj daddan matracha. This anuvritti of tadasya was coming there from this sutram. Tadasya sanjatam tarakadibhya itachya. And we talked about briefly in yesterday's class, like tarakitan nabaha, pushpito vrikshaha, and so on. We looked at that in sanyataha, yoga sanyatam. So this is sanyata. So that comes in Gita, right? Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sanyatam. So that the dukkha, tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sanyatam. It's interesting sloka in Gita where the viyoga is called yoga. The viyoga is called yoga. Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sanyatam. So the viyoga is a sanya of yoga. Anyway, that's Gita in chapter 6. So sanyatam. So all that we are looking at, this is tadasya sanyatam tarakadibhya itachya. And the anuvritti of tadasya is going into suttam which you saw yesterday. Pramane dvayasaj dadhan matrachaha. So it means that it refers to something in which that has occurred, has arisen. So we say tarakitam nabaha means, taraka has taraha. So tarakitam. So this is the taraka. So tarakita. So tarakaha sanjata asmin. It is tarakitam nabaha. It is a sky. It's a starry sky. It's a sky in which the stars have appeared. Like with pushpito vrikshaha. It is a tree in which the flowers have appeared. You can say phalito udyamaha. Phalitaha udyamaha. It is an effort which is fruitful. It's an effort, it's undertaking, enterprise in which the fruit has appeared. It's become fruitful. So we say phalitaha. So on and so forth. So we can use, so this sutram is 5 to 37, 5 to 36, I'm sorry. Tad asya sanjatam means it is for him. I guess of him I should say. Asya means for him, not solely in him. I should say asya means for him. Yes.
Yeah, Madhaviya Dhatu Vritti, page 590, says exactly that. Lajjitaha iti tachi, reference to 5 to 36.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because that's why I think that's the way to derive it. So yeah, I think I checked all my sources and I could not, this is the way it is derived. So we can lajja sanjata asyaha, not asyam but asyaha, sorry, shashti.
Lajja, it says gurosha halaha.
Yeah, that is correct, that we have, correct.
Lajjitaha iti tachi, shapya nayorapataha swartaha shati tasya anudaprota.
Right, so he's using this, so the same sutram is using, right? So
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So we can now take lajja sanjata asyaha. So she was Sita, for whose embarrassment had occurred. So she was lajjita, means she was abashed, she was embarrassed. So then we can add lajja plus su, because tad asya sanja. So tad is prathama. So lajja plus su, add the pratyay tach. Then the usual steps we do: anubandha lopaha bahalantyam supluk supotadu pradipitikayoho. Then angam gashta bhasanya yachibam yasyeti cha. We get lajjita. And then of course he's talking about Sita. We have the pratyaya top and the feminine, and the usual chutu halantyam akasama dirgha lajjita. So this is what I'm seeing in lajjita. I don't understand why this is one. It looks, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. But this one, at least the dhatu, this lasya will not give this form. It will become lagna. So anyway, this is a question mark. I don't know what this is. This is, we have to think. Chintanyam idam. So lajjavati, and then he gives the commentary dukkhadapi dussaho lajja bharaha iti bhavaha, which means he now summarizes the whole shloka. The abhipraya of the shloka is that he says that dukkhadapi dussaha lajja bhara iti bhavaha. The bhava of the shloka is that even more than the sorrow of Rama's death is her embarrassment. You know, the power, the weight of her embarrassment is greater than that. So lajja bhara. Bhara means like the weight of the embarrassment is dussaha. Is intolerable. She cannot tolerate the embarrassment that she lived when she actually thought he was alive. That embarrassment is greater for her, dukkha adapi, than the sorrow of actually Sri Rama having died. Let me see anything else in the thing over here. So okay, kamam is an avyam, we talked about that. So jahav, we talked about that. Now jivita, this sutram nishtha pratyakta, of course it's a said dhatu, so jivita. In the adhikara of bhute, remember we talked about yesterday also, these adhikaras are very important because it says in the adhikara of bhute, which is 3 to 84 starts bhute, and then taktavatu nishtha. So so that's 3 to 102 nishtha. Sorry, sutam nishtha and taktavatu nishtha. What Mulinatha has done, he has converted that to the tavatu pratyaya. So jivitavati, he has said. Now what it means is that this is kartari. Excuse me one second. Excuse me please. Yes, my class is going. Can I call you back? Thank you. So he made jivitavati as the pratyak tavatu. So he made jivitavati. So this is kartari, because this is kartariktaha. You know, maybe what I'm thinking is that maybe kartariktaha maybe came from back here. Now I'm thinking, now I'm getting the idea. That's what it might be, because instead of but then he said lajjavati. I think this is what has happened. If you ask my opinion here, this kartariktaha should be shifted to back here, jivitavati. So that makes sense. Jivita is jivitavati, is kartariktaha. So that is not coming lajja, it's coming to jivitavati, if you ask me. So what I would think is that the jivita is kartariktaha, and Jivitavati. I think this is in the wrong place. This is in the wrong place, I think. This is in the wrong place. This is in the wrong place, I think. So put it back here. That's the only sentence I can make out of it. So Jivita is Kartari, because Jiv is Akarmaka Dhatu. Akarmaka Dhatu, and as far as 3472, which has seen many times, because normally the Pratyakta is in the passive. Tayoreva Pratyakta Kalarthaha. But 3472 says Gatyartha Akarmaka Dhatu. So like Sthitaha, Suptaha, Jivita. So this is, so Jivita means she lived. You cannot be passive. So that's why we say Jivitavati. Okay, so that would, I think that this is Kartari, Kartariktaha. That makes sense. So I think I would shift this back over here. Okay, translation we saw last time already. So I'll just go it one more time because we already seen that translation. So the translation was that she gave up, means Vijahau, the Shucham, her grief, with the thought is iti hetoho iti matva, that is the iti, but with you can supply with the thought me natha, her Lord. This is in the quotation. So my Lord means out of the quotation, her Lord was certainly alive, jivati, but you supply kintu. On the strength of kamam you supply kintu. She felt ashamed, lajjita babhuva. That again is the iti, that she was still living, means jivita, even after she thought the fact of, means asya antam satyam, the fact that his death to be true. The to be true is satyam, his death is satyam, and even after, I think is at the point iti somewhere there. Well, I guess there's no iti, but you supply. And I think this prak, I think is not translated. We talked about in the class last time. I think this in the translation, I don't see the word prak over here. I see even after. But yeah, anyway, we talked about it in the class. I think the prak doesn't seem to come in translation before. It should have been before, because prak is purvam, before. Anyway, translation doesn't seem to have that very well. So it has, instead has even. I would think api. But okay. So Anantaram shloka, Anantaram. So his next shloka is 76, is Garudapat Vishlishta Meghanadastra Bandhanaha Dasharathyoho Kshanakkleshaha Sapnavritta Ivabhavat. Garudapat Vishlishta Meghanadastra Bandhanaha Dasharathyoho Kshanakkleshaha Sapnavritta Ivabhavat. This first thing is a whole First of all, in chanting the shloka, you should pronounce the visarga completely as a visarga. Like there's a viram after it, kind of, Because of this, normally we should have had the kupvoha kaffaucha. So that sutram, which is I think 8.3.37, kupvoha kaffaucha. So it should have become a visarga or a jivva mulya optionally. But sutram which is coming back here, it says sharpare visarjaniyaha. Sharpare visarjaniyaha. So if you have a khar shar conjunct, and the most common one is the ksha. So kakara shakara sanyogaha is ksha shabdaha. So that will be a sharpare Sharpare khari. So sharpare khari. So when you have a visarga followed by a khar, which is itself followed by a shar. So we have here, what do we have? We have here the visarga followed by a kakara, which is a khar, followed by the murdhanya shakara, which is a shar. Then what happens is that we get visarjaniyasya visarjaniya adeshaha. So visarga stays visarga. So we have to pronounce visarga as a visarga itself. No making jivva mulya, etc. So we should make it only dasharathyoho kshanakkleshaha, like that, not dasharathyo kshanakkleshaha. So don't make it jivva mulya. Should be pronounced as dasharathyoho kshanakkleshaha and not dasharathyo kshanakkleshaha. That's not correct. So this visarga does not become jivva mulya. It stays a visarga, dasharathyoho kshanakkleshaha. Example in Gita, Gita comes 2-3 places, I think. Samadukha Sukha Kshami. Santushta Siddhatan Yogi. I think comes in chapter 12. Samadukha Sukha Kshami. Let's see. Vishishyate. Here it is. 12.13 in Gita. 12.13. Samadukha Sukha Kshami. So this is Samadukha Sukha Kshami. So this Visarga stays Visarga. Doesn't become Jiva Mulya. Okay. Now the first whole line is a big compound. Samastam Padam. Garuda. Apata. Vishlishta. Megha Nada Astra Bandhanaha. That's the shloka. That's the whole. And the entire thing is qualifying Kleshaha. It's a Klishta Samasa. It's qualifying Klesha appropriately because the Samasa a lot of Klesha in it. So actually it's not that bad. It's only a long Dirgaha. Natu Klishta Samasa. It's a long Samasa but not really Klesha is not there. So we can leave it for time being. So Dasharatyoho Rama Lakshmanayoho. Dasharatyoho. It says Rama Lakshmanayoho. And of course the form Dasharati we have derived in detail by the Sutram Atai. Atai, I think this in the Wednesday class we had the exact form we derived Dasharati. So Dasharati we derived in the prior class Dasharati. Here it is. So we took the Sutram Atai. So we take Adantam Yat Pratibadikam Tat Prakritikat Shashthyantad I Syad Apatyarthe. So normally we would have Tasya Patyam and then Adhikara Pragdivyatvan. But here Atai is if you Adantam Pratibadikam. Then following that Shashtyantat, we use a Pratyaya I. So the Tasya Patyam Puman Dasharatihi. So both Rama and Lakshmana are both Dasharatihi. Dasharatyoho, like Haryoho. It is Shashti Divachanam. Pratyaya was only equal and she is only applied there. So the Dasharatha Patyam Puman Dasharatihi. So Dasharataha plus Nyas, the Pratyaya in usual steps, Anubandha Lopaha, Supluk, then Taditeshvacha Madehe, and then after that Yachibham Yasyeticha, Alontyasya, and then Dasharatihi. That's the form. So Dasharatyoho Rama Lakshmanayoho. Klesha, Krinak Klesha, Sapnavrittaha Iva Abhavat. Abhavat, of course, you know the form very well. Abhavat is the Lang Lakaraha. Dhatu is Bhu Sattayam. That's very, very straightforward, nothing special there. You derived this many, many times before. So Abhavat. What it says is that the Krinak Klesha, this momentary problem, momentary difficulty, momentary hardship became as if it occurred in a dream. Vritta, dhatu vrit, vartate is to be, to exist, to occur. So to move around. So to vrit is to exist, to occur. Vrittaha means occurred. Nishtha pratyaya which occurred. Again, this is also kartari. Kartariktaha because it is akarmaka. Vrit is akarmaka, to occur. So then sapne vrittaha ivaha. Iva. Sapne vrittaha iva. So it became it. So this temporary discomfort of Rama and Lakshmana, it became as if it was a dream occurrence in a dream. And then what kind of temporary discomfort is given by this whole compound over here? Whole compound. That's the meaning of the shloka. So simple thing is you look at the Tinganta Padam is Abhavat. Abhavat Lang Lakara Dhatu Bhu Sattayam. Sutram Itashcha is applied over here. So who is the karta of that? Klesha. It's in a compound Kranam Klesha, Kranak Klesha. This also we looked in the see. Now the good thing about these notes is that a lot of this we already looked at all these forms. Many of these forms we looked in the I think the sutram here is 2129. 2129 is sutram. Is 2129. I think we saw the example in the Wednesday class about Muhurta Sukham. Muhurtam Sukham, Muhurta Sukham. So it says that, let's see. Okay. Atyanta Sanyoge cha. First of all, recall the sutram Atyanta Sanyoge. Kala Dvanor Atyanta Sanyoge. This is now we are talking about two different things. First is the Vibhakti Vidhanam. which is done by 235. Kala dvanor atyanta sanyoge. When an action is done, atyanta sanyoge, continuously for a period of time or distance, then that time or distance gets the dvitiya vibhakti. This is a sutram in 235. We said many times that if you have to do any vibhakti vidhanam, you have to find a sutram in Ashtadhyaya of 2.3. Ultimately, any vibhakti in this language has to be authorized by a sutram or maybe vartikam in 2.3. This sutram 235 says Kala dvanor atyanta sanyoge. If an action is done for a continuous period of time or distance, then it should be that time or distance word will get dvitiya vibhakti. So he says masam adhite, a study for 1 month. So paksham adhite, studies for a fortnight. So here we say we have kshanam kleshaha. Is a kleshaha which lasts moment for a moment. Kshanam kleshaha. So vigraha vakyam is kshanam kleshaha. In the vigraha vakyam, the kshanam got dvitiya vibhakti because of sutram 235 kala dvanor atyanta sanyoge. When you go into compound, we use sutram 2129. Of course, recall that Tatpurush Adhikara goes from 2122 up to 2222, from 2122 up to 2222. So in that Adhikara, 2129 says Atyanta Sanyoge Kalaha Ityeva. This Kalavachaka Shabdaha, which I use in the sense of Atyanta Sanyoge. So this is, so Dvitiyanta. So it says Aktantartham Vachanam. The prior sutram was talking about the word ending in Kta. So this sutram says it doesn't have to be compounding with the word ending in the Kta pratyaya. So Kalaha Atyanta Sanyoge cha. Te Sanyoge. And then the sutram is Dvitiyaya. Anuvritya Dvitiyaya. So Dvitiyaya is coming here. So we look at the Vritya Sutram 2128. Let's get 2128. Dvitiyaya. So Kala Atyanta Sanyoge Dvitiyaya. So 2129. I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake here. It is okay. Let's go ahead. Let's go for a second. 2129 is Sutram. And Anuvritti is coming from Dvitiya. So Dvitiya is coming, I'm sorry. So Dvitiya. So it's Kalavachaka Shabda, which is Dvitiyanta Shabda. So it is when you have Kshanam Klesha. Kshanam is a Kalavachaka Shabda, and it is ending in a Dvitiya. So Dvitiya, so Supa Samasyate. Chatrusha Samaso Bhavati. And this Kalaha says that in the sense of when a Kalavachaka Shabda uses the sense of Atyanta Sanyoge, when something is lasting for a continuous period of time, then such a Kalavachaka Shabda, which is in Dvitiya, can compound with a related Subantam Padam. It says Dvitiyaha Kteniti Vartate. So I'm 229, I'm sorry. Atyanta Sanyoge cha. Atyanta Sanyogaha, Kritsna Sanyogaha means continuous time. It's the klesha lasted for the full minute. Kalasya swena sambandhina vyaptihi. So vyaptihi means it is for that entire period of time something is happening. So kalavachinaha shabdaha vitiyantaha atyanta sanyoge gamyamane supasah samasyate vibhasha tatpurusha samaso bhavati. So muhurtam sukham. We saw this so this is what we saw in the Wednesday class. And the same thing is coming here. So now we can practice some of these rules which we have learned. So kshanam bhogaha, muhurtam sukham. So one more time, 235. Kala dvanor atyanta sanyoge is a dvitiya, the vibhakti vidhayaka sutram, and then atyanta sanyoge. So atyanta sanyoge cha samasa vidhayaka sutram. Just so we get the samasaha, which is kshanak kleshaha. Sapna vritta, straight for sapne vrittaha, sapna vrittaha. According to Saptami Samasa, according to dream. Now, let's look at this. Garuda Pata Vishlishta Megha Nadastra Bandhanaha. Okay. Now, as I said to you, long compounds. Okay. Now, in that, we can pick out those pairs which are Tatpurusha compounds. and we can collapse those brackets. We can because Tatpurusha Samasa Uttarapadanaha. Tatpurusha Samasaha, the Pradhanyam is in Uttarapadam. The Pradhanyam is in the Uttarapadam. So we can take the Uttarapadam and we can make that as a surrogate, as a standing for the whole compound. Because the Purapadam in some way only adds to some meaning of that Uttarapadam. Uttarapadam gives the Mukhya Artha. Uttarapadam. For example, Garudasya Apataha. So Garudaha Tarkshaha Tasya Apataha. So very simple compound. Very, very simple compound. So Apata is Agamanam. Pat Dhatu Pat. Pat is to fall. So Patam is falling. Apatam is coming down upon. Like descending upon. It can also be like attacking. He says Agamanam. Says Agamanam. So Garudasya Agamanam, very straightforward Shashti compound. So we can immediately collapse that bracket, collapse those two into one single Apataha. So we can forget about Garudaha in the compound right now. So Tarkshaha is apparently from Kashyapaha. I think Garuda was born from Kashyapasya. So from Kashyapas, Taraksha is coming from that. So basically Taraksha is another name for Garudaha. Garudaha Tarakshaha Tasya Apataha. So that's one simple compound, Shashti Samasaha. Then Apat, so Garuda we can now just think of Apata. We forget about Garuda in the compound. Then Apatena Vishlishtam. Okay. Apatena Vishlishtam. Again a Tatpurusha compound. Tritiya Tatpurusha compound. So again, the sutras are very straightforward. The sutras are basically for the Shashti compound. The sutra is simply Shashti. And then Tritiya compound, the sutram is Kartukarne Krita Bahulam. Kartukarne Krita Bahulam. That is this one, Tritiya compound. So this will be for the Apatena Vishlishtam. Now the same logic here. We can now drop the Apata and just keep Vishlishta. So we already account for these two. So Garudasya Apataha. Then Apatena Vishlishtam. So just forget about these two. Take out Vishlishtam now. Vishlishtam, then Meghanadasya, again same thing here. Meghanadasya Shashti Samasaha. Indrajitaha Astrena. So this Meghanada Astra, you can collapse that to Astra. Because Meghanadasya Astram, Meghanada Astram. So very simple compound. So now what do we have? Vishlishta Astra Bandhanaha. Then Astrena Bandhanam. So now even we can also drop Astra. You understand? Because we made Meghanadasya Astram. So then by that we already accounted for Meghanadaha. So Meghanadasya Astram, we can now drop Meghanada, keep it Astram only. Then Astrena Bandhanam. Bandhanam, now we are also again same Tritiya compound by the sutram Kartukarne Krita Bahulam. So we accounted for Astra also. Then what do we have now? So we got Garudasya, we accounted for that. Apatena, we got that. Then we have Meghanadasya, we got that. Astrena, we got that. So what's left? Vishlishta Bandhanaha is all that is left. See how simple it is? We had this long compound. But when you pick out the pieces which can be easily, shortened up because Tatpurusha compounds, then we get a simple compound, Vishlishta Bandhanaha, qualifying Kleshaha. The once we have it straightforward, isn't it? Vishlishtam Bandhanam Yasmin Saha Kleshaha. I mean, this is a very, very typical Bahuvri compound. Typical, why do you say typical? Why typical? Because it is that the sutram which we have seen, which is the sutram Nishtha. Sutram Nishtha, which says that Nishthantam Padam will get the Purunipata in a Bahuvri compound. So it is very like, Sthita Pradnyaha, Vigata Kleshaha, so this is Nashta Sanyaha. So all these are very, very common compounds. The Nishthantam Padam, Taktavatu Nishtha, is the Pura Padam in a Bahuvri compound. So now we have a very simple compound, Vishlishta Bandhanaha. In fact, this is Vishlishta Bandhana compound itself. In this compound, the Bandhanam is gone. So Vishlishtam Bandhanam Yasmin Samase. Vishlishta Bandhana Samasa we made out of it now. So this is that's just a joke. Vishlishta bandhana means it is a klesha in which it is a discomfort in which the bound or the noose or the bind was loosened up. Shlesha, shlish is to like to rub against. Shlesha means to like to come in close contact. Vishlesha means separation. Prutakarnam means to separate out or to so vishlishta means loosened, to loosened up. So it was a klesha, kshana klesha, in which the bind was loosened. So it was a klesha, the bind was loosened by the arrival of Garudaha. And it was a binding by the weapon of Meghanada. Now Meghanada itself is a compound. Meghanada is a Bahuvri compound. It's a Ushtra Mukha class, of which you have seen in detail in the Wednesday class already. So Meghasya Nadaha iva Nado Yasya Saha. So like Ushtrasya Mukham iva Mukham Yasya Saha. So you get the Meghasya Nada iva Nado Yasya Saha. It is the son of Ravanaha, whose sound was like the thunder of a rumbling of a cloud. So he spoke like rumbling of a cloud. So Meghasya Nada iva Nado Yasya Saha. Ushtra Ushtrasya Mukham iva Mukham Yasya Saha. Or my example from Gita is Vruko Daraha. Vrukasya Udaram iva Udaram Yasya Saha. Bhima Senaha. So this is the compound when we should have had Ushtra Mukha. Instead of that, Ushtra Mukha. Same thing, Vrukodara. Vrukasya Udaram iva Udaram Yasya Saha. So Meghasya Nada iva Nado Yasya Saha. So this is the, of course we've seen it many times before. Saptam Upamana Purapadasya Uttarapada Lopascha. So this Saptami or Upamana Purapada. So it says Uttarapada Lopascha. Upamana really is Meghanadaha. Upamanam is with the rumbling of the cloud. But that one, the Uttarapada of that Meghana should be Meghanada Nada. But of the Purapadam, the Uttarapadam of the Purapadam is dropped. Should just make it Meghanada. Rather than making Meghanada Nada. Because the Upama for the Nada is the Nada of the Megha. But instead we make it Meghanada only. We drop the Nada from the Purapadam. So we make it. So she says, Saptam Yantam Upamanam cha Purapadam Yasya Tasya Padantarena Samasaha Uttarapada Lopascha Bhavati Ityartaha Ushtrasya Mukham iva Mukham Yasya Saha. So same thing we have seen. Of course we also saw this one. So main compound Vishlishtam Bandhanam Yasmin. Vishlishta Bandhanaha Kleshaha. Dashrati we derived das, we just talked about that. Dashratihi, but is Atai. If you want to do some homework, look up your notes for Atai 4195. And then Kshanam Klesha also we did that by Attina Sanyogecha. So let's see anything else in the shlokaha. So Garudas Tarkshaha Tasya Apatena Agamanena Vishlishtam means like loosened up. Meghanadasya Indrajitaha. Indrajit is, Indram Jayati, Parajayate. Iti Indrajit, one who conquered Indra. Astrena, Nag is Nagapashena. So Nagapasha is a noose in the form of a Nagaha. Bandhanam Yasmin Sah. Tatoktaha means it is an adjective of that kind. So what kind of discomfort? It was a discomfort. It was a problem in which the bind was loosened by the coming of Garuda. That's why it was a Kshanak-klesha. It was only a temporary discomfort. Kshanak-klesho Dasharatyoho Rama-Lakshmanayoho. Look at the Sandhi here, by the way. Sandhi is Rori. Repasya Rephe Lopaha. Okay, Dasharatyoho. Sapnavrittaha Sapnavasthanubhutaha Iva Bhavata. So Sapnavasthayam Anubhutaha. It was something just like a dream. Just like you experience something in a dream. Just a very temporary discomfort of Sri Rama and Lakshmana by the noose of Indrajit, because it was immediately loosened by the coming of Garuda. Okay, let's bring our Nagaraj ji has been patiently waiting. You there, sir?
Yeah, namaste.
Thank you very much for being there consistently every class. Very much appreciated.
I'll be happy to do it very honored.
Thank you very much. So, okay, suffering. What do you think? Suffering. Klesha, correct. Klesha is suffering. So, of the two sons of Dasharatha. Dasharatyoho, like Haryoho. The Pradipatikam is Dasharathi, then Dasharatyo Shashti Dvivachanam. Just to Yand Sandhi, that's all it is. Became short-lived.
Kshanam.
I think Kshanam Klesha, Kshanak Klesha. Became is Abhavat. Abhavat is became. As if is
Iva,
as if. Having occurred in a dream. That is
Swapna Vrutta.
Sapnavasthaya bhutaha, anubhutaha. So sapne vrittaha. Vrittam is occurred, happened in a dream. That in a dream is Saptami Samasaha in a dream. When, I think that's probably just supplied. Their binding, there is understood. Binding is
Bandhana.
So again, one more thing. Bandhanam was a neuter noun. The fact has become bandhanaha. It's a Bahuvri compound.
Yes.
Most likely, because bandhanam will not get the form bandhana anywhere. So this is changed because it's qualifying kleshaha now. Because in the Bahuvri samasa pradhanya is in the anyapade. Anyapada pradhana Bahuvrihi. So klesha is now controlling the gender of this compound. So bandhana is no longer able to control the gender. Unlike in Tatpurusha Dvandva compound, there we have Paraval Lingam, Tatpurusha. But here we can looking at this bandhanaha. If bandhanam is a neuter noun, then this signal is most likely Bahuvrihi. Okay. So binding is bandhanam with a serpent missile. That is the
Meghanadastra.
Astrena bandhanam. So Nagapasha Rupena, Nagapashena bandhanam. From the commentary really. Discharged by Meghanada. Meghanadasya Astrena. So Meghanada Prayuktena. That's supplied there. Meghanada Prayuktena Astrena. Gave way. Loosened. Right? Vishlishta. Shlish is to rub, to join, to come together. But Vishleshaha is to move away, to separate out. At the approach is
Apata.
Apa. So apatena vishlishtam bandhanam yasmin. Of Garuda is Garuda. So thank you, sir. Okay, so that was the one shloka. Now next one, saptasaptitama shloka. Tato bibheda paulastya shaktya vakshasi lakshmanam. Ramastvana hatopyasid vidirna hridayashucha. Tato bibheda paulastya shaktya vakshasi lakshmanam. Ramastvana hatopyasid vidirna hridayashucha. Ramastvana hatopyasid vidirna hridayashucha. One thing, as I told you, is that if you keep on reading something clearly, loudly, and with bhavena, with the proper sentiment, that these texts reveal themselves to you. So you will get the meaning. This has happened to me. Because, first time when I read, for example, the Chandi part, I think at that time, a lot of words were kind of fuzzy in my mind. But after chanting it many times, every single word comes to you more and more, with like Gita. When you chant Gita, every time something comes to you more. When you chant the Gita, every time, even now when I chant, even though I've been chanting for so many years now, but still if you chant again, something hits you from there. One small thing from here, a small thing from there. So even if you don't understand this whole shloka, just repeat it a few times. Give it a chance. Don't just say, okay, it's too hard for me. Atiklishtam iti matva. Natyajyam. Don't give it up. Punar patanam kartavyam. Patitavyam. So bodha bhavishyati eva. You will understand it slowly. So shanai tato bibheda paulastya shaktya vakshasi lakshmanam. Ramastvanahatopyasid vidirna hridayashucha. Okay, Padacheda is kind of straightforward here. Tataha bibheda paulastya shaktya vakshasi lakshmanam. Ramaha tu, of course, yan sandhi. Ram, of course, visarga sandhi is yan sandhi. Ramaha tu anahataha. Anahataha api asit vidirna hridayah. That's the samastam padam. Vidirna hridayah. Shucha. Now, Shucha is the same Pratipadikam Shuch, which we just had over here. Shucham. Shucham, the same Pratipadikam Shucha is Dukkhena. Dukkhena. Khedena Dukkhena. Because he was sad. He was troubled. He was distressed. Okay. Now there is dve tinganta pade asmin shloke vartete. Asmin shloke dve tinganta pade vartete. There are two words ending in tinganta padam. One is bibheda, and one is asit. Of course, we have seen the form asit many times. The only thing there is that the idagamaha by Astisho prukte eat. Astisho prukte, which is 7396. Astisho prukte eat. If you want to do some homework, look at the daily comment. If you've seen this, we've seen this many times. 73. In fact, I wish you would research it here. The form asit has been seen many times. So if you look at which, I think if you just search for 7396, we should find it. I think 7396, we find it. Form asit. So there's id agamaha. But what happens first? Itascha. Of course, as dhatu is in the adadigana. So is form asit. In fact, we had the entire post asit. So we can look at this one. We had the post asit. See, so asit is the entire thing. This is on August 15th, 2011. This post asit. So you can do all the steps are here. As bhuvi. Then this is a parasmapadi dhatu, udatta dhatu, udatta swara. Then anadyatane lang. Then anubandha lopaha, tip pratyaha. Then anubandha lopa itascha. And then kartari shap look. Then comes, because you dhatu as, for by aprukta pratyaha, because of aprukta eka, so ekal pratyaha. Aprukta. These all is sannyas of aprukta ekal pratyaha. So this, in fact, you can look at the sutram here, because aprukta is a pratyaha, which is a single letter. If such a pratyaha follows the dhatu as, then it gets the id agamaha. So aprukta ekal pratyaha. Aprukta ekal pratyaha. If you look at 7396, Sisicho prukte. It says that, let's see, it was giving here, astescha parasya apruktasya halaha idagamaha. So you get the idagamaha, and then of course the art agamaha comes, adajadina, you get the form asit. If you want to practice this one, it's already given in this August 15th post. In fact, we may have bibhed also, let me just check by any chance. It's a very Vibheda also is a straightforward lit form, nothing really special. Vibheda. Let me see. Did we have Vibheda? I think we may have had Vibheda also. Let me see. Yes, we had Vibheda also. Vibheda also we have had. So in fact, both this sloka, we've had both these forms in the daily post. So Vibheda is from December 23rd. So Vibheda, exact form Vibheda we had. So again, this is also, you can follow this one. Vidir vidarane. Vividam means to split, to cleave, to tear asunder, to tear apart. Vibheda. So this, follow the steps again. Vid plus lit, anubandha lopaha, pratyaya tip gets nalla deshaha by pasvipadanam nallatus us. Then anubandha lopaha, then liti dhataranabhyasasya, because as per the dirvachane chi, we have to first do the abhyasa karyam. Only after that we can do the puganta laghupadasya, has to wait, even though it's parakaryam, because dirvachane chi. Then we go to Ahladisheshaha and then Pugandalagupudasya, and finally Abhyase Charcha. In the Abhyasa Bhaga, the prana goes away, Mahaprana becomes Alpa Prana Vibheda. So anyway, this entire form is derived for you in this posting on December 23rd. You can just revise the steps over there. So both these forms are derived. So Paulastyaha, in fact, even Paulastyaha, even Paulastyaha is already derived for us in the prior class. These classes have been good because these documents take a lot of time to prepare. But now that we have them, we can develop on them, and you don't have to. In fact, this is the whole idea of these classes, is that we can pass this on to the next students, to students coming afterward. This can be passed on to them, so they can use this to copy, paste, and all these things. So when we do all this work, I mean, of course, there might be some errors in that, but this can be passed on to the next students, next generation of students. They can use this and take it to the next level. So anyway, Paulastya had already been derived in shloka number 72. Shloka number 72, let's go back for 1 second. Paulastya derived in two ways. Paulastya. So let's look at that. Number 72 shloka derived Paulastya over there, and there are a couple of ways we did that, I think, in Paulastya. So here it is, Paulastya. So Paulastya derived in two ways. Pulaster Gotrapatyam Paulastya. Remember Gargadibhyo Yai, our friend Gargadibhyo Yai, we talked about that in the Wednesday class, in the Tasyapatyam Adhikaraha. Tasyapatyam starts from 492. And there the Gotre, there's a Gotre section in that, which we are talking about, and that Gotre is starting from 4198. We saw Naradibhya Phaka and all that, we saw that. And then we saw the Sutam Gargadibhyo Yai. Like Gargyaha, like the form Gargyaha we did. So same thing, similar steps here from Pulastihi. We do Gargadibhyo Yai. And then, because Pulasti is in the Gargadi Ganaha. So Paulastya has a grandson of Pulasti. That was Ravana. So grandson onwards, that get the Gotre, we get the Pulasti. I think Ravana was grandson of Pulasti. So, and the same as Gargyaha, same steps. Anubandha Lopa, Sutu Gargadibhyo Yai. And then we Anubandha Lopa Halantyam Supluk Supudhatu Pradipadikayoho Adivriddhi Taditeshvacha Madehe, and we get Yachibam Yasyiti Cha Ikar Lopaha, and we get Paulastyaha. So this is the exact same form we had in verse 72. But then what happens is that in the Puranas, some Puranas, they give Pulastya, not Pulasti, but Pulastya, as a name for that sage, not Pulasti. So it can also be derived as Pulastasya Gotrapatyam Paulastya. So instead of starting from Pulasti, we start from Pulastya and get the same from Paulastya. Even though in Gargadi Ganaha we only have Pulasti, but we can also include Pulastya as an alternate form for Pulasti, kind of. We include Pulastya. But here the same steps. Only thing is that in the last thing we have to make one last thing is you get the one Yakar Lopaha, and that is a Pakshika Lopaha by 8464. Halo Yamam Yami Lopaha. Halo Yamam Yami Lopaha. If there's a Hal followed by the Yam, means from Ha Yava Ret up to the Nyama, so that up to the nasals, up to the Nyama Ngana Nam. So the Yakara, anyway, Yakara is the very first in the Pratyahara Yam. So Yava Rat Lan Nyama Ngana Nam. So if there's a Hal followed by a Yam followed by the Yam, so we have Takara, Yakara, Yakara. If you follow this same Sutam Gargadibhyo Yai, same steps, we do Halantyam, then Supluk, Adivriddhi become Taditeshvacha Madehe, because we get Chavarga Pancham as an It. Then Yachibam Yasyeti Cha, Ikar Lopa, but now we have Paulastya Ya. Now so we have Takara, Yakara, Yakara. So we have Halo Yamam Yami Lopaha. Takara is the Hal, followed by Yakara is the Yam, followed by the same Yam Yakaraha. Then we can take one Yakara, can take Lopa optionally. So we get the same from Paulastya. Because in some of the Puranas, they talk about Pulastya and not Pulasti. Anyway, so we did all this was done in the in verse number 72. So same thing is coming here now again. So we have Paulastyaha Ravanaha Shaktya. The Shakti is a weapon, is Astra Vishesha. It's a special kind of weapon. Shaktya Lakshmanam Vakshasi Bibheda. Tataha means Anantaram. Tata is an avyayam, means after that. Tataha from Pradipadikum tat tataha means Tasmat Kaladanantaram. Tasmat Kaladanantaram. After that, English then, simply then in English. Simple sentence is Ravanaha Bibheda. There are two sentences here. Well, this remind us that shloka doesn't mean one sentence. A shloka is only a metrical count, the counting syllables. Shloka, of course, most of the time shloka will correspond to exactly one sentence. But many shlokas can make up one sentence. Within a shloka, you can have multiple sentences. You always keep that in mind. Shloka doesn't mean it's just one sentence. It will be, what is a sentence? Ekating vakyam is a sentence. A tingantam padam makes a sentence. A shloka is only counting syllables for the meter. It's not counting sentences. So please keep this in your mind, very clearly in your mind. Shloka doesn't mean one sentence. Even though many times they'll correspond to a sentence, but here we have two sentences. It says that Ravanaha, Paulastyaha, Lakshmanam Bibheda. Because Bibheda is the anchor of the sentence, the Shanku Sthapanam, Bibheda. So he split, he pierced Ravanaha. So, Ravanaha pierced Lakshmanaha on the chest, Vakshas Pradipadikam Vakshasi, Shaktya, by this particular weapon, kind of missile. So with his missile, he pierced Lakshmanaha on the chest. And then Ramaha tu, look at the placement of tu, by the way. Tu is but on the other hand. So but in English, of course, will come at the beginning of the sentence, but in the Sanskritam, the placement, these connecting words come after the first word. They may even come after the first clause in the news, in the new. They don't start at the beginning of metrical padaha. So they will come Ramas tu, rather than saying tu Ramaha. So Rama, these connecting words, tu, api, etc. They will come after the even like word he. They will come after the first. I think Gita example maybe quickly. Let's see. How about chapter 2? I'm thinking of chapter 2, an example maybe. Jatasi dhruva mutyunam sammitasya cha hato va. Even you see hato va. So this va will come one word later. You get all these words, they will come, always come, one word. See, akitim chapi, the chapi. They don't come at the beginning of the sentence. So some of these connecting words, they come after the second line. So Ramaha tu. So on the other hand, Ramaha was asid, he was. Then this compound word qualifying Ramaha, Vidirna Hridayaha. Very straightforward Bahuvri compound, the same kind of construct. Vishlishta Bandhanaha. It's very similar thing. Again, look at Hridayam is a neuter noun. Hridaya has become a pullinga pratipadikam, samastam padam. Anena jnayate, prayena ayam bahuvrihiti jnayate. Bahuvrihiti jnayate, bahuvrihi iti jnayate. So you can understand that this is most likely a Bahuvri compound, because Hridayam is a neuter noun, Hridaya pratipadikam. When we got the samastam padam, it became pullinga pratipadikam. From that we have to take the hint. It's most likely a Bahuvri compound. It's a very straightforward compound. Nishthantam padam is pura padam. Very classic trademark Bahuvri compound. Vidirnam hridayam yasya saha. Someone whose heart was torn asunder. So Ramaha became such that his heart was torn apart. Anahato api. Ahataha, hatu han, hataha. Han means hit in English. The English hit is hata. Dhatu han. When you add the pratyakta, we get the nakar lopaha, nunasika lopa by Sutram 6.437, which is Anudattopadesha, Vanatitanotyadinam, nunasika lopo, jalikiniti. Take the han at the pratyakta by 32102. by the sutram nishtha. So this is, and by 3470, which is tayoreva krutyakta kalartaha. It's a past tense, it's a passive usage. So hit means somebody who's hit by someone else, hit. And because this is a anudat upadesha dhatu, so by in the nanteshu. So we know we studied in the Saturday class, we looked at detail in the sutram, because ekach upadeshanudattat, ekacha upadeshanudattat, ekacha upadeshanudattat. In the nanteshu, I think han and manya. So nanteshu man hanya. So manya hanau dvau. There are only two dhatus in the dhatu partha, which are ekach, ending in a nakaraha, anudattupadesha dhatu. Manya hanau. So dhatu han, so no idagamaha. And then by 6437, anudattupadesha dhatu jalikiniti pratyakta. So then we get nakar lopaha, become hata. So ahata, of course, is a gati samasaha. Ang is the upasarga here. So ahata can be taken like hurt all around. But anahata, not struck, unstruck. So anahata is also like a technical term. It means unstruck. So unstruck. So anahata opi. So Rama, even though he was not struck, he became, on account of the grief, he was struck by the grief basically. So he was not struck by the weapon, he was struck by the grief. Asena anahataha. Parantu shucha viddha. So aviddha shucha. Dukkhena aviddha. So he was struck by the grief. See Lakshmana being hurt badly. He was struck by grief. So he became, his heart was torn apart by that grief. Let's see what the commentator says. Let's see what this is. What I thought was a fairly straightforward verse. Nothing too complicated in this one. Is that tataha paulastyaha ravanaha. Again, he qualifies that paulastyaha ravanaha shaktya kasu namakena ayudhena. Kasu namakena ayudhena. This kasu is a special kind of a weapon. Kasu samarthyayoho shakti tyamaraha. He quotes Amar Koshaha. So Shakti can of course mean ability, strength. It can also mean this weapon Kasu. So Kasu namake ayudhena. This is some kind of a special weapon. Lakshmanam vakshasi bibheda vidarayamasa. Vidru, dhatu dru. Vidarayamasa, of course, anuprayoga lit, which you've been seeing in detail. And so let me look at the notes. Did I put any notes over here? Paulastyaha. I'm sorry. So this we are in shloka number 77. Shloka number 77. Okay, so we had okay. Vidirnaha, I derived that form. So dhatu is dru. Dru dhatu. It is vidarane. Is to tear apart. Vidirnaha is same pratya nishtha pratyaha. Taktavatu nishtha means torn apart. It's a passive usage. And here what happens is that because the dhatu is and the rukaraha, it is this sutram is shrukashkiti. Shrukashkiti. So any uk ending angam will not allow shrukashkiti, will not allow a pratyaya which is the kit pratyaya which is idagamaha. So by the in fact our sutram which is 7 to 10, ekacha upadeshanudattat, which we looked of course in detail. Next sutram is shukashkiti. Shukashkiti, which is says that if you for this dhatu shri ukaha shrukaha. So shri, the dhatu shri, and any dhatu ending in a uk, if the angam ends in such a dhatu, then kiti, the kit pratyaya will not take idagama. So we have dru right now. This is ending in a uk because ru. So it's a rukar, ruvarnanta. So by shruka kiti there's an in nishedha. And then of course with the pratyakta is a kit pratyaya. So by kiniticha, guna nishedha. So we guna nishedha and we have in nishedha. So in nishedha was shruka kiti. And why do you need shruka kiti? Because recall that we saw this in the Saturday class is in the same sutram ekash vishanudattat in the ajanta dhatavaha udrudantaihi Yauti, Ru, Kshnu, Shing, Su, Snu, Nu, Kshu, Shvi, Ding, Shri, Bhihi. These are all Sed dhatus. So this is Udattupadesha dhatavaha. So in the Ajantas, in the dhatus ending in a vowel, most of them are Anudattupadesha. But some of them, and particularly the ones ending in a Ukara or Rukaraha. So we could not have used 7 to 10 over here to do Unnishedha. Because Udrudantaihi, it's a Rukaranta dhatu. So this is a Udattupadesha dhatu. So 7 to 10 will not work here. But 7 to 11 says Shuka Kiti. Kit Pratyaya follows in Ugantam. Will not allow Idagamaha. Remember one more time is the Idagamaha comes to Pratyaha, not to the Dhatu. Okay, of course, Idagama, Dhatu only will disallow the Idagama from it. And once we get the In Nishedha and the Guna Nishedha by Kiniticha, then what happens is that we get this Anuji's favorite sutram, Rute Dhatoho. Rute Dhatoho. Rute Dhato has to wait until In Nishedha comes, because until Guna Nishedha comes. The Guna Nishedha, because if Guna Vruddhi occurs by, there's a Parakaryam. So the Guna Adesh, if I take Guna Adesha, Sarvadhatukarthakayoho, that's in 7.3. That will then overrule the Ruta Dhatoho. So first we have to do the Guna Nishedha, then only we can do Ruta Dhatoho. And after that, of course, Uran Raparaha. So in the place of a Rukara ending Dhatu, the ending Rukara of Dhatu becomes the Ikaraha. Uran Raparaha. Then again we use this Radabhyam Nishthato Naha Purvasya Chadaha. The Dhatu ending in the Repa or Dakaraha. All this we have seen before. This is all a copy paste from an earlier class, by the way. So the Refanta Dhatu, when we have here Nishthato Naha. Nishtha Pratyasya Takarasya Nakaradesha Bhavati. You get Na Ade, Takaradesha, and then we get again another sutram of Anuji, which is Halicha, Dirgha. If you have a Repant or Vakaranta Dhatu followed by a Hal, Upada becomes Dirgha, becomes Dir Na. And of course the Rashabhyam known as Samanapade. Rashabhyam known as Samanapade. Dirna. So here the important thing is that in Nishedha Vaishuka Kiti, Ruta Idhatoho, then Radabhyam Nishthato Naha Purvasya Chadaha, then Halicha, Upada Dirgha, and of course Nattam, Rashabhyam known as Samanapade. Now if you take the same Dhatu Dhru, add the Pratyaya Nicha Hetumati, and then what will happen? Become Dari. Get the form Dari by Acho Nyati Uran Raparaha. We get the form Dari. Dari will get Dhatu Sanya Sanadhyanta Dhatavaha. And once you do that, then we can use this this like we've been seeing in the recent post we have seen Anuprayoga lit form we've been seeing, like let's see, I think let's try to find one here. Which one is this one? Let's see, like Chuhu. Let's see, maybe the prior one. No, Prayo. I think we saw some of these. Let's see. Oh, I'm the wrong month. I'm sorry. It's the wrong month. Go to January. Anuprayoga lit we have been seeing. This one, like Nishpidayamasa, okay, let's take this one. Pidayamasa. So when we get Dhru plus Nich, we get the Dhatu Dari. We can follow all these steps. Because the sutram is Vartikam at 3135. Kasyane kacha am vaktavyo liti. We get Dari plus am plus lit. And then, this sutram Ayamantal Antal Vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal Vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal. This is a tough sutram to pronounce. Ayamantal Vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal Vayet Vishnushu. Basically, Nich Ni Pratyaya follow one of these pratyas. He gets the Ayadesha. So this Am follows. So instead of getting near a niti, if taking Lopa, it gets the Ayadesha, becomes Pidayam, then Pidayam gets the by Amaha. This lit goes away after Pidayam, So when am precedes, the following pratyaya takes look. Amparasya luksyat. Amparasya luksyat. And then we get this gets the pratipadika sanya because lit has a sanya of krut, the thing. Any lakara has a sanya of krut, but krud a thing. Once tiptajji comes, then of course the krut sanya is no longer there. But if the lakara stays the lakara, it has a krut sanya. So in this case, the lit before tiptajji could come, lit took the look by amaha. So in the speedayam gets the pratipadika sanya. By krut the samasascha, then we have to apply sojas, supratyaha, again amaha. Amaparasya luksyat, and then we bring the dhatu kru bhu or us by krincha anuprajyate liti. So we get us plus lit anuprayagaha, being the lit with that, lit paraha, as dhatu anuprajyate. And then after that, we saw the usual step to get us plus lit and become tip, then naladeshaha, anubandha lopaha, then Liti dhataranabhyasasya by dirvachanechi, we'll do that before doing atopadhayaha. Then we do ata adehe haladisheshaha atopadhayaha and get pidayamasa. So same steps. If you want to practice the steps, look at this post for Jan 30th. Instead of getting pidayamasa, you get dharayamasa. So in the commentary he uses the form vidarayamasa. So the same step as pidayamasa. But Ramaha too anahataha says na ahataha anahataha. Of course, it's a nyang tatpurusha, straightforward negation compound, tatpurusha compound, sutram nyai, which also we have seen in detail in the Wednesday class, nyai tatpurusha. So na ahataha anahataha. And then of course we have to use the na lopo nayaha tasman nrichi. So these two sutras we happen. So when we pratyaya nai, first of all you have halantyam. Then after that we the na lopo nayaha, and then tasma nurichi, so becomes a na ahataha anahataha. So the nakara of the nai goes away, and then the aja, the ach which follows, in this case the akaraha, it gets nut agama, so becomes anahataha. And then api shucha is shoke. Now we just talked about that, is stilinga padipadikam. There's no commentary here, it's a straightforward compound. Vidirna hridayaha, vidirnam hridayam yasya saha. So I think this was not a very difficult shloka. I think everything is, mostly what's happening now is that we are seeing the same forms over and over again. So let's look at the translation here. Let's see, let me try to stack it like this now. Let's see what we have. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. You ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we have then. What is then?
Tataha.
Tataha. Then descendant of Pulastya. Paulastyaha. Struck. Bibeda. That's the verb. Bibeda is struck. Dhatu bid is to pierce, or strike, or to cleave. Lakshmana is Lakshmanam. On his chest, on his breast is Vakshasi. With the Shakti weapon. Shaktya. Why Shaktya? Of course, here is the Karanarthe Titiya. That's the instrument. So this is 2-3-18. Kartikarnayos Tritiya. This is Tritiya Karanarthe. That's the instrument. So that's the Tritiya Ekvachanam Shaktya. While is two. While is two. But on the other hand, Rama is Ramaha. Do is Api. Do is Api. Not struck. Anahataha. So na ahataha, anahataha. Had his heart, so had, I think he became, that's a asid, I think. Asid, that's so his heart broken. Vidirna hridayaha. So vidirnam hridayam yasvasaha. One whose heart has been torn apart. By grief is Shucha, Shokena. Thank you, sir. So Shucha, Shokena. I hope by this time you're getting some confidence now that these shlokas are not that hard. If you analyze them, it's nothing. In fact, we're taking every single word not only from the shloka, from the commentary also. So we are analyzing every single word. Again, I say, if you don't understand every single word, it's okay. Doesn't matter if you don't get every single word. If you get even the gist of the shloka and understand the commentary, that's good enough. It's good enough. So okay, let's do the next one. So Ashta Saptatitama Shlokaha Samaruti Samanita Maho. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, just a side observation in here. The heart chakra, the Hridaya chakra is called Anahata chakra.
Yeah, I thought Anahata is a technical term. Ana like the unstruck note,
yeah.
right? Anahata chakra. So
the connection here is Hridaya.
And Anahata. Okay, I got it.
The connection here is Hridaya.
With the Anahata chakra. Correct. I understand. No, Anahata is used a few times in this Yoga Shastram. It is, I think Anahata is also some kind of a note. Unstruck note, which is kind of a special, I guess, like the sound of silence. Like the
Hridaya chakra.
I see.
Yeah, sound of silence, and it happens in the Hridaya. It happens in the heart.
I see. So that's the Hridaya, within Hridaya and the Anahata. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because this is like the sound.
Heart doesn't need the striking.
I see.
That's where the shloka also happens.
I see. Good. So that's a little Yoga Shastram for you today with Vyakarana Shastram. So this is like the sound of silence, Anahata, Shabda, unstruck sound. Okay, here, of course, here is not the sound here, but Anahata is used. Okay, so Samaruti Samanita Mahaushadhi Hatavyathaha Lanka Strinam Punaschakre Vilapacharyakam Sharaihi Acharyakam. Okay, Sa Maruti Samanita Mahaushadhi Hatavyathaha. Same thing, long compound. It's going to be, we can make it a simple compound, Hatha Vyataha. The same exact construct as we had before in the Vidirna Hridayaha. We also had in the prior page on the Vishlishta Bandhanaha. So Vishlishta Bandhanaha, Vidirna Hridayaha, and now we are having the Hatha Vyataha. In fact, in Gita comes Gatavyataha. So same thing, Gatavyataha. So let me see if I can find in Gita. So of course, always keep Bhagavad Gita in the back of your mind. Playing in the playback. Gita is a playback of life. Playback of life is Gita. So Gatavyataha. So Gatavyataha. So Vyataha. Let's see. Yeah, Gata Vyataha is chapter 12, number 16. Anapeksha Shuchir Daksha Udasino Gata Vyataha. So Gata Vyatha Yasya Saha. So Gata Vyatha Yasya Saha. Now here is Vasu's favorite topic, Pumvad Bhavaha. So same thing, Pumvad Bhavaha. So Gata Hata Vyatha Yasya Saha. So one whose affliction has been destroyed. Or in Gita, when the affliction has gone away. So he's one who's very, of course, a classic case because Vyatha is, in fact, the word Vyatha comes in Gita also. Mate Vyatha Macha Vimuda Bhavo. Right? So the word Vyatha also comes in Gita. The Silinga Pradipadi become Vyatha. Mate Vyatha Macha Vimuda Bhavo. Dushtva Rupam Ghoram Idrim Mavedam. Vyapeta Bhi. So Vyatha. So Vyatha comes in chapter 11 of Gita as a Silinga Shabdaha, and as part of a compound it comes in chapter 12 also. So Gata Vyatha Yasya Saha. This one is one who's at ease, Swasthaha. So it says, so Gata Vyatha, Hatha Vyataha. So Gata Vyatha Yasya Saha. Of course, the Hatha takes Pumvad Bhavaha. Here comes Vasu is back, Pumvad Bhava is back. So Pumvad Bhava by 6334. Striyaha Pumvad Bhashita Pumsakha.
Bhava Matrena Pumvad.
Correct. Vritti Matrena. So Samanadikarane Striyam Purani Priyadishu. So basically simple thing is that Samadhikarane Striyam. So when you have, because gata, hata, vyatha, yasyasa. So samadhikarane striyam. The vyatha is a feminine. Samadhikarana with the pura padam. Basically the pura padam becomes masculine like. Instead of become hata, it becomes hata. It loses the ta pratyaya. Si pratyaya, top is lost. It becomes hata. And then connecting with that is this rasva adesha. Not to be, don't confuse these two, by the way. There is a rasva adesha at the end. Goes triyor upasarjanasya. In the bahuri compound, sarvopasarjanaha bahuvrihi. Sarvopasarjanaha. The bahuri compound, every term as the upasarjana sanya. If you have upasarjanam padam at the end of a pratipadikam, if it ends in a stri pratyaya, then it gets the rasva adesha. So this is rasva adesha. So what's happening at the end over here is rasva adesha. So vyatha becoming vyatha. While the hatha becoming hatha, that's pumvad bhava. Don't confuse these two. So this pura padam, remember in 6.3 is the adhikar of uttarapade. The entire 6.3 of Panini is this adhikara starts with aluguttarapade. Aluguttarapade. When uttarapadam follows, something happens to pura padam. So the hatha becoming hatha, the pumvad bhava, is in 6.3. 6.3.34, while the vyatha becoming vyatha at the end of the compound, at the end of the pratipadikam, that is 1.248 by goes triyor upasarjanasya. So in one case it's a rasva desha, pratipadikantasa rasva desha. The other one is pumvad bhava. Okay, so these are two different things. This simple compound hata vyata yasya saha. So and it's qualifying saha. Lakshmanaha. Because the prior shloka we had that Vakshasi Lakshmanam Bibheda. Then Saha Lakshmanaha Hatavyataha Lanka Strinam Punarizanavyayam Chakre. The Chakre form we have seen in the posts. And the good thing is that we are seeing so many posts now that the form Chakre. The form Chakre also we have seen. Of course it's Lit Lakaraha. It's Atmane Padam Pratham Purusha Ek Vachanam Dikrin Karane, our famous Dhatu Dikrin Karane. The form Chakre we have seen. So if you want to revise Chakre, you can look at this form Chakre in this. This is the post on January 10th. We had the form Chakre. I mean, same thing, Dikrin Karane, it's Ubhaypadi, Suritagnata, Kartavipraye, Kriyaphale. This case Atmane Padam. And then we will lit lakaraha paroksha lit anubandha lopaha ta adesha by tiptajji. And then because this ta gets the sanya of ardhatukam because of litcha, we cannot use kartari shap. That requires sarvadhatuke. After that, litas taje or eshirech, we get the esha adesha anekalchi sarvasya anubandha lopaha ekaraha. Then the before the echo energy that has to wait because of dirvachane achi. So first we do the abhyasa karyam. Diti dhaturanabhyasasya. Diti dhaturanabhyasasya. Kru e. After that, of course, the abhyasa bhage karyam. Urat urandaparaha. The ru varna abhyasa takes the akaradesha urandaparaha. Kar kru e. Then kuhoschuhu. Char kru e. Haladisheshaha. And then ikoanachi. So if you want to practice the form chakre, we've already seen in great detail, we have seen this in January 10th post. So Chakre means he did. What did he do? Vilapacharyakam sharaihi. Punaschakre. So Vilapacharyakam chakre. Now this is one difficult word, acharyakam. Acharyakam. In fact, this is a good thing is that really we are doing so many classes now that all these words are coming in which already we have done. Already we have covered this section of Tasya Bhavastvatalo. Remember we did that recently in the Wednesday class. Tasya Bhavastvatalo. Of course in the class we cannot take every sutram, but I think we have seen this form, by the way, in the Ramayanam, in the Sundara Kandam, in the Saturday class. In the Wednesday class we took this adhikar of Tasya Bhavastvatalo, which goes from 5.1.19 to Apada Samaptehe up to end of the Padaha. And there we of course, looked at Sutram in detail was the Gunavachana Brahmanadibhya Karmanicha. So Bhave starts from here, Tasya Bhavas to the low. Then Karmanicha also starts from here. So from 51124 can Tasya Bhave Atva Karmani. And in the Sundarakandam class, we saw this Sutram, which is the interesting Sutram, Yopadat Gurupottamat Vi. So Yopadat Gurupottamat Vi. Pratyaya is Vi. So the same meaning of Bhavya or Karmani. But the condition for the Prakriti is Yopadat. So Yakara is an Upadha. Okay. This right now we talk about Acharya. So Acharyasya karma Acharyakam. So look at the commentary says that. It says Acharyakam Acharyasya Acharya karma. So see now look at the number 51132 iti vi. Now because we already studied this adhikara, we looked at this adhikara of tasya bhavastatalau. So when you look at a number 51132, you should immediately know is tasya bhavaha, and from the brahmanadibhya karmanicha, from 51124 karmanicha. So when you look at the number itself 51132, you should immediately know this is a tadita pratyaya being added in the sense of bhave karmanicha. I understand that. So that's why we look at the Ashtadhyaya. In Ashtadhyaya, that's adhikara is so important. Adhikara thatness, tasya bhava is thatness, which we saw in great detail. Then we did karmanicha by gunavachana brahmanadibhya karmanicha, and then that goes to the end of 5.1. So when we look at the number 51132, we already know the topic. Vishayaha nyayate bhave karmanicha iti tadita pratyaha vihitaha iti nyayate. So we understand that tadita pratyaya is being prescribed since of bhavya atva karmanicha. So here the pratyaya is acharyasya karma, acharya karma. And this yopadat gurupottamat. So gurupottama means that the upottama, the prior vowel should be guru. So acharya. So that akara is the guru. So the penultimate should be a yakara. We're talking about the prakriti, the angam, the pradipadikamam is because nya pradipadikat. So should we end in the penultimate yakara, and then prior to the yakara, the second last, the vowel should be guru. So the upottama is the prior to the penultimate. So it should be gurupottama dvi. So one more time, yopadhat. So yakara upadha yasya. Then guru upottamam yasya. So upottamaha yasya, you can speak it, depending on what you qualify. So the penultimate should be ya, while the prior to that should be a guru. So acharya we have akara, yakara, akara. Penultimate is ya and prior is akara. So we get let's look at the vritti very briefly. So this is the one difficult word here, acharyakam. As I said to you, this kavyam is sometimes composed to teach you vyakaranam. So this acharyakam is specifically put there by Kalidasa to teach us the sutram. Yopadhat gurupottamadvi. So that's the difficult. Everything else in this sloka is straightforward. That's the only difficult word is that vi pratyaya acharyakam. So yopadhat gurupottamadvi. Any new sutram that you have, please repeat it. So next time you think of this sutram. Yopadhat gurupottamadvi. Yopadhat gurupottamadvi. Yopadhat gurupottamadvi. Yopadhat gurupottamadvi. Okay. So 5132 says that. Okay. It says let's see what it says. So Tri prabhritinam antasya samipam upottamam. So this is the third last. So guruhu upottamam yasya. So guru should be no visarga here. So guru upottamam yasya. So the third last should be a guru vowel. And then yakara upadha. So yakara upadha yasya. So upadha should be here, and the upottama, the third last, should be a guru vowel. So yopadad, guru upottamad, vi. Then sache pradibadikam, shanangam, take the pratyaya vi in the sense of so gurur upottamam yasya, then guru upottamam, and then yakara upadhat, vi pratyabhavati bhavakarmanoho. So now we can derive this form acharyakam. That is the only difficult thing in this shloka. Is so when we take it, this is the acharyasya bhava karma. In this case, karma. So means teaching. So it is instruction. Just a karma. So it's a job of a teacher. So acharyakam. So once we get the acharya plus yes, because tasya bhavastatalau. So shashtiyantat pradipadikas, shashtiyantat. So acharya plus vi by yopadhad, grupottamad vi. Then we of course get the anubandha lopa halantyam. Then yuvaranakau, get the aka adesha, anekashit sarvasya. So get the aka adesha. Of course adi vriddhi, taditeshvachamade. Then yachibam yasyeti cha acharyakam. So acharyakam is acharyasya, in this case karma. Okay, now this Professor Devdar, okay, in Professor Devdar's book, he's made a nice commentary on that. Let me quickly read that to you. This is shloka number 78. This is the commentary. He says that, okay, acharyakam is acharyasya karma. Yes, sir.
Why is that you have not acknowledged Yuranaka there in Sutra number?
Yuranaka, oh yes, I'm sorry, yes, Yuranaka. Correct, thank you. Yes, it should be 711.
721.
711, right? Yuranaka. Because this is always my teacher always told me. The pratyaya adesha, in place of pratyaya, adesha is 71 Yuranaka. Always remember my teacher. He always told, many times he told me that. In any pratyaya, like atobisa is, all of these, 7-1. And the first sutra is Yuranaka. So 711.
The similar word will be adhyapakam also, would be the same, right?
Yeah, adhyapakaha. But that is the nul truchau. This is the pratyaya nul.
How about adhyapakam?
No, this is the, you have to have, that is the adhi. That's the ing adhyane. You'll be careful there. That is a nijjanta form. With the dhatu you get is api. Because that when you're talking about adhyapanam, by the way, adhyapakaha, that's the ing adhyane, adi ing plus nich. And then what happened is that by this sutram, it says kring jina myau. So this ing gets the akara desha. You get the form api. So that is not a yakar upadha. You'll be careful there. That's not yakar upadha. That's simply the adhyapi. So adhyapi is because ing is nityam adhipurvaha. So adhi api. So it is ing adhyane plus nich. You get this one 6148 gets the akara desha, and then we get the puk agamaha by 7336 because it becomes akaranta. So you get puk agamaha by arti rivli ri knui kshmai yatam puk. So it becomes api. So adhyapi. Adhyapakaha by nul truchau. So that's completely different. That's not this. I mean, of course, the wu is there. I mean, understand that. The wu is there, but this is a completely different kind of. That's the krudantam rupam. This is a tadita pratyaya.
I have another question also on nul truchau.
Nul truchau, yes.
How do we identify where nul comes and where truch comes?
That is, there's no, as on Panini it can come all, but truch is much more common than nul. But that is that the sutra doesn't say that. It says both are available to you. That's from usage. There's no other. Sutra doesn't say that you should use nul only here.
For example, in the karta and karaka.
Karaka, yes, correct.
Now, I was thinking if you have the nich and the dhatu,
Yes.
then would call for the near-entity kind of thing.
It will become Kari.
Kari.
So it will become not near-entity, but it will become Achoniti, become Kari.
Achoniti. Now, would that define when the null comes and where the...
No. Null through Chau nothing to do with niche. Null through Chau is after any dhat null through Chau. So Harakaha, Vidarakaha, all that is... The niche is completely separate topics. So whether niche comes or not doesn't matter. In fact, we just Adhyapakaha. You can say Adhyapayita also we could have said. Adhyapayitru Pratipadikam. Adhyapayita. So that also is possible. So whether you say Adhyapayita or Adhyapakaha, of course in this case Adhyapaka is much more common. But you can also say Adhyapayita, Adhyapayitru. So both are available in Vyakaranam. Only thing is that because of usage, sometimes one, sometimes the other. But nothing to do with niche. Nultrucho means nothing to do with niche at all. Niche is
so there is no selection criteria where...
Only the Abhidhanam, usage only. Beyond that, Vyakaranam, there's no. So the only usage, how it is there. So both are available, and then we can technically use both. But depending on usage, there's some little bit of preference to one or the other. Otherwise, Vyakaranam wise, they are both available. So on this one, this says Acharyakam, Acharyasya karma. Acharya plus we. According to the sutram, which is, we just talked about, this affix is added to a polysyllabic words having the yakara for the penultimate, so yopadhat, and having a long penultimate syllable, grupottamat, in the sense of nature or action, so bhave karmani. So ramaniyasya bhava ramaniyakam. So agre ramaniyakam vartate. There is something really wonderful here. So Ramaniyasya are very, very, nice to see. So Ramaniyasya bhava. This is what in Sundarakandam we had this, by the way. Ramaniyasya bhava Ramaniyakam. So that's what it means. So anyway, okay, let's see. Time is running out on us right now. So if you want to practice this sutram, you can practice that, which is we just looked at, which is 5.1.132. Okay. Now let's maybe take the translation and we'll continue next class. So the simple meaning is that, see here, this long compound you can take for homework. Okay, similar Maruti Samanita. So Marutina Samanita, brought by Maruti. The simple Titya compound. Kattukrina Krita Bahulam. Again the same technique. Samanita is the pradhana padam, so we can collapse this compound, make it just take Samanita. Then is qualifying Mahaushadhi, because Mahaushadhi itself is a compound. Mahati chasav aushadhishcha. So Mahaushadhi is a simple karmadharya compound. We can drop the Mahati, drop the Mahat, and take only Aushadhi. Then Samanita Aushadhi and the karmadharya compound. The Aushadhi which was brought. So it is a medicinal herb brought by Hanuman. So everything we can drop and keep only Aushadhi. Then Aushadhya Hata. Also the Titya compound. So that also we can drop now. You understand? So it was Lakshmana whose affliction was destroyed by this Aushadhi, this medicinal herb. Which was a great medicinal herb, which was brought by Hanuman. So we can drop everything by Hanuman, brought, then great, then the herb, then destroyed by the herb. So everything can be dropped. To get the pradhana padam, we can only take Hata and make it Hata Vyatha Yasya Saha. So for homework you can practice this. She says that Marutina, Marutsutena, Hanumata basically, Samanitaya, Mahoshadhya, Sanjeevinya, Hatavyataha San. So same kind of technique. Then Punaha, Sharaihi, Sharai again, Karna Tritya is Karnarthe, Karnathe Tritiya, by the instruments, by means of his arrows. Lankastrina, Vilape, Paridevane, Paridevana, Tatraka Paridevana comes in Gita, right? So Paridevanam is to lament. Vilape Paridevane Acharyakam acharya karma. So he performed the job of a acharya. This is a poetic way. He performed the job of a acharya in the subject matter of teaching the women of Lanka how to lament. So in the context of, in reference to teaching the women of Lanka how to lament, Lakshmana did the job of the acharya. Means basically he taught them how to lament. Means basically he killed their husbands. Is what it means. So he says that Punarapi Rakshasan Jaghaniti Vyajyate. So it seems a poetic way of saying that Lakshmana had destroyed all the husbands of the women of Lanka. So it is saying that he taught them how to lament. He taught them how to. So in the matter of lamenting, he played the role of Acharya. So he became the teacher. This is very poetic. He did the job of a teacher in teaching women of Lanka how to lament. It means that he killed their husbands, is what it means. Okay, we finish up some, let me give a small homework and we go to translation. Homework is not much. We did the Acharyakam, we did just now in detail. Then Hata, Vyatha, we already talked about that. Then Mahatyaushadhi, Mahoshadhi is a Karmadharya compound. Look at the 6342 An Mahataha, so the Akaradeshaha, and then again Pumvad Bhavaha, and then of course Vriddhirechi, and Maruti we have done in the previous class already. If you want to look at the previous class, we derived the word Maruti. So look at the previous class, we'll do it again next class. Okay, so homework is Maruti revision. And then Mahoshadhi is 6342 Akaradeshaha, Pumvad Bhavaha by 6346. Let me look at 6346. Oh, I'm sorry, other way around, excuse me. 6342 is Pumvad Bhavaha. 6346 is the Anmahta Akaradesha. So that also you can, which also all this have been done in previous classes. Nothing is new. All this we have done Pumvad Bhava and Karmadharya compound. This is for a Karmadharya compound. 6342. So the Mahati becomes Mahat, and then the Akaradesha by 6346. And of course, finally Vriddhirechi. So let's do the translation, and we'll because time is out. So let's see. You ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay, let's try. Let's see what we can do here. The only difficult word is the Acharyakam. Everything is six. Okay, Lakshmanaha is. Saha Lakshmanaha. So the prior shloka I say Lakshmanam Bibeda. So Saha Lakshmanaha from the context. Having his pain removed. That is
Hatavyataha.
Hatavyataha. So Hatavyatha yasya Saha. By the great medicinal plant.
Mahaushadhi.
So Mahatya Aushadhya. So Mahaushadhya. Mahaushadhi Titya Samasaha. Brought to him.
Samanita.
Samanitaya Mahoshadhya. Correct. Samanitaya. We take in the Vigraha Vakyam. By Maruti. So Marutina. Marutina Samanitaya Mahoshadhya. Again is
Punaha.
Punaha. Performed is did. Chakre. Chakre. He did. He performed. The duty of a tutor.
Acharyakam.
Acharyakam. That's a difficult word. Acharyasya karma acharyakam. In is a saptami. It is vilape. In the teaching lamentation. So vilape. So vilapa. This is vilap. This is saptami samasaha. Vilape acharyakam. To the women of Lanka is Lankastrina. So to bewail. I'm sorry. By means of his arrows. Sharaihi. This is I said, this Tritiya is Karanarthe, by means. This by means comes by means of by means Tritiya. Tritiya dwarana artho labhyate. We get the Tritiya tells us that the meaning is by means of. So because Tritiya is used Karanarthe, so this is by means of that we get the meaning of that. Okay, we'll stop with that. Thank you very much, and we will continue next class with the Vyakaranam of this one, and we'll continue the next shloka. रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तले सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर राम रामेति रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने श्री राम नाम वरानन ओन्नमैति. How are we doing, Vasir? Okay.